just look out into the ocean, it's like, it's very intimidating. Like, we are so small in this huge entire universe. You only really realise that when you reflect on like the magnificence of Allah's creation. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I currently feel a bit conscious because I'm outside recording. I'm in the beautiful Eastbourne. I'm currently just standing right in front of the sea, and it just feels so nice to be here, just to be out, you know, recording content is so nice. And I can see this huge flock of birds, subhanallah. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Carmina, a Muslim psychological type enthusiast and self-discovery practitioner. And I like to talk about the depth of self-discovery, conscious development, and the intersection between psychological type and Islam. So if you look at this beautiful sunset over there, look at that. Just look. Sorry, I just can't get enough of this place. How do I get like better light? Like, it's getting really dark now. Oh, woo! It's a nice background. Yeah. I think I'm gonna continue this video when I get back to my hotel room because I look like a right weirdo and I'm hungry and I need to get some food. So I will catch you in a bit. I have just woken up about half an hour ago. I'm so tired. I woke up a little bit later than I wanted to. I really wanted to get out and head over to like the seafront to catch the sunrise, but I've kind of just missed the sunrise. So I'm gonna head over to, there's a nice little cliff area. I'm pointing like you guys can know, like you know where I'm pointing to. So I'll catch you guys in a bit. The sound of the ocean is just something unmatched. And do you know what? The sea is such a powerful analogy for people. People are a lot like the sea, like the ocean. Like, you look at the surface of it, yeah, and you would have absolutely no idea what is beneath the surface. Just like people. Welcome back to the channel. I feel so good. I am in a beautiful location. I just feel really nice. I feel really on edge right now because I'm sat on one of these little post things that separate the two shorelines from each other, and I just feel really on edge. Life for me has been a bit overwhelming recently, and I guess just taking like simple little breaks like this, just sitting in front of the ocean, it just feels really, really grounding. Even though I'm still working on a bunch of projects at the moment, it's just nice to get away. So anyway, this video is an extension from my last video where I spoke about, it got cut short, my last video, but I spoke about my journey to overcoming one-sidedness. And in that video, I said I was going to not only talk about my story, but I was going to also talk about sort of run through the 16 personality types and talk about how their one-sided can manifest. And like the narrow mindset that could affect their decisions, their relationships, and personal development, and even like how it can shape their future. However, like I said, that video got cut short, and I thought to myself, rather than just shove everything into one video, I'm gonna make this into a series. So over the coming like 4 weeks or so, inshallah, I'm gonna release a new video every week where I'll talk about personality types, like a certain cluster of personality types at a time. And this cluster of personality types will be ones that have things in common, right? They've got like similar temperaments, and we're just going to explore how they might experience and overcome one-sidedness. Before I actually begin the official series though, I just feel the need to do a bit of an introduction to the series, because I am new to this YouTube stuff. I haven't exactly established myself here. I feel like there's a lot of groundwork that I do need to lay down, for my audience, just so that they can understand kind of where I'm coming from and where I'm going with this. So I'll talk a little bit about where I'm coming from and my perspective as a Muslim self-discovery practitioner who doesn't just look at personality type, you know, well, or personality development from just through a secular lens, but from an Islamic perspective. Now, I mean, I assume like majority of my audience here will be predominantly Muslim. And just from experience, like I know so many of us, we're not really familiar with the depth of the 16 personality type framework, like beyond the 4-letter code, right? Some of us just know INTP, ENFJ, ISFP, you know, that 4-type code. Most of us just kind of look at that and we don't go beyond or know what's beyond that or how to use the knowledge of our personality type effectively. Most of us probably aren't even aware of how fertile its ground is for personal and collective development. So yeah, just think of this video as like a starting point for broader, more in-depth explorations, I guess. Now, if you did watch my previous video on my journey to overcoming one-sidedness, you'll know that I was someone who had I just held a very limited view of the world before doing like self-discovery growth work. I was very dismissive of any concepts outside of Islam, any theories outside of Islam. So I understand that some people, my content may initially come across, like I said, as a little bit unconventional. I honestly don't know anyone else from the Muslim community doing what I do, you know, with the 16 personality type theory. And so I find myself having to, well, even when I was studying the theory with non-Muslims, I find myself having to filter a lot of what I've been learning about personality type through the lens of Islam, because I can see the value that psychological type theory can bring to our Muslim community. However, like I said, so far, I just haven't come across any other Muslims who are as passionate or who have gone into depth like it, you know, gone into depth with it, like I have. And so, yeah, I find that I need to translate a lot of information to people who might not otherwise engage with these kinds of ideas. Psychological type theory is still an emerging theory, and it's you know, still gaining attraction in our era across the whole globe. It only really started to root itself within like the past 100 years, and although it's like gradually starting to establish itself as quite a stabilizing force in the world, and it is for sure, its impact is still not widely recognized among like everyone, and people don't know exactly what value it has to offer. And so that's one reason why Muslims might not engage with it. But also within the Muslim community, obviously there's a natural inclination to find contentment and fulfillment within the bounds of the Quran and the Sunnah. And just like I didn't feel the need to go outside of that, a lot of other people don't feel to go outside of that either. You know, given the comprehensive guidance across every context, you know, spiritual, economic, physical, social, every area of life, it's understandable that Muslims may not seek any insights kind of beyond their faith, beyond Islam. But let me just briefly introduce to you what psychological type theory is, and how you can actually benefit from it. So to understand psychological type theory is to understand the similarities and the differences among human beings that are kind of rooted in their physiological inborn mental wiring, or what we call cognitive functions, you know, mental preferences. And it also gives us insight and a framework to understand how people orient themselves in the world. It's about understanding the nature of what limits you, what helps you to develop. It's a tailored guide for enhanced self-awareness and self-development. And, you know, it gives us the ability to recognize things like our drives, motivations, our triggers, our inherent likes and dislikes. It's a tool for effective communication and developing successful relationships, among so many other things that I can't even share, you know, just within this short video. And, you know, we never had access to this kind of information about human nature before. But life has a very funny way of introducing us to new approaches to, like, you know, human progress, when old methods kind of stagnate. You know, old methods and approaches to problem solving doesn't really work anymore. And I believe psychological type theory is actually one of those things that's emerging, because it offers a valuable perspective that provides, like real detailed understanding of human nature and interactions, how people are different in their mental processing, which manifests as differences in behaviour. And that's really useful because it helps to bridge gaps between you know, individual differences, which results in less conflict among people, just because people get each other, they get where they're coming from. Individualism is becoming rapidly common in our time because of the influence of the abundance of information that we have access to now. You know, we're not living in times of collectivism anymore. You know, times have changed. We don't all have the same access to the same Guinness Book of Records that tells everybody the name of the man who can shove the most amount of macaroni up his nose. Like, and you know, we all connect and bond over that by being impressed by it. It's like, times have changed. So the need to understand and accept the reality of diverse worldviews, because it is something that is a reality, right? It's what exists now. So we need to accept that and deal with it in the most effective way possible. Not only that, but the rapid growth of Muslims in like Western society, right, whose whole entire worldview has been, and perspective has been shaped by life experiences outside of Islamic tarbiyah, should make us also understand that like the need to develop a better way of understanding diversity and develop a culturally appropriate way of intervening and, you know, interacting with people is beyond dispute, I believe. The study of psychological types is not about contradicting our beliefs or values. It's actually based on universal knowledge that Allah has revealed in our time and given us access to. So it's about recognizing the nature of yours and others being your nature and understanding that natural diversity that Allah created within humanity. So yeah, Allah said in the Quran, "O mankind, indeed we have created you from male and female and have made you into peoples and tribes so that you may know one another." I had to memorize that verse because I mentioned it the other day and I forgot what it was. So this verse, obviously it highlights the beauty and the purpose behind our differences, right? To know one another, to learn from one another, and to grow through the diversity of our interactions. We learn from each other that way. So psychological type or personality type, it offers us, like I said, that framework to understand human differences in a structured way that would otherwise be outside of our awareness. And you know, it's not just random like these secularists think. It's not just random variations, but it's a part of like a broader, divinely ordained spectrum of human experience and learning. And by learning about these personality types, we're not just indulging in like theoretical exercise, by the way. We're embracing a tool that can help us navigate our relationships more effectively and appreciate the strengths and like the challenges of other people. Because when we get together and we have like this diversity of opinions and viewpoints, there's conflict, there's, you know, things get fiery. When we encounter someone who thinks and feels and acts differently to us, there's mostly always conflict. You don't ever experience conflict unless you come into contact with someone else. And that can also spiral out of control sometimes and lead to the point where people like physically fall out and fight. When someone is behaving in a way that makes us feel uncomfortable or that we don't like or that we're not used to, we might try and change them, right? We never consider that maybe it's just because of our perspective. We never consider that our individual differences can actually offer ways to learn from each other. Like, we don't usually consider that, not consciously anyway. So psychological types can help us deal, like I said, effectively with people, be more patient with people by giving us a framework for understanding these personal differences in detail, and to understand that it's something intrinsic, it's something that is just natural to us, you know. And another quote that Allah mentioned, he said that Allah created us as a test for one another. And honestly, people can be very testing, and we don't always know how to deal with that. And people test you far more when you don't understand why they are the way they are, you know. But our differences, they don't have to be just social challenges, you know, they don't. They can be opportunities for growth. So from this perspective, understanding psychological type, it becomes more than just learning about a man-made theory. You know, it becomes part of shaping a future, you know, a journey of self-discovery and communal harmony. So with that said, I definitely invite you to explore this concept with me, you know, with an open mind and an open heart. So guys, I'm going to head back to my hotel now because things are getting pretty busy. I would love to go for a jog on this seafront. Yeah, so I'm going to go grab myself a coffee. And thanks for listening, guys.